wacky show.
I wipe my bum with this game.
10 o'clock is game time. Check out hot new shows tonight at 10 p.m. Next on G4 Tech TV, The Screensavers, followed by Cheat at 8 and Players at 8:30.
Tonight, we'll go inside the video codec of the future. Plus, get yourself a handy free Windows Media Stream Ripper. And take a look inside the Foo's brain. Yes, that's right, my brain. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, The Screensavers.
Hello and welcome to The Screensavers. I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on The Screensavers. This is the only place on television where you can be sure to get live product demos, interviews, tips and tricks, and the very best in computer help.
Why would you go anywhere else?
No need.
Tonight we have a really good show, everybody. I'm going to show you a free program that captures streaming Windows media feeds so you can save them and watch them at your leisure as many times as you want.
Very cool.
Very
Plus,
helpful.
we will take a look at the next generation video codec that may become the new standard. It's a new variation of the MPEG.
We want to stay on top of that.
Very cool.
And we're going to go inside Dan's brain with the help of some cool software. I don't even know if I want to know I don't even know if anything's going on.
What's going inside of Dan's brain right
You
now?
don't want to know what's going inside my brain. It's
Is
actually...
it an active brain?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Debatable.
Just how active my brain was. But anyways, give me a call. The phone number is 888-989-7879. Now, the best idea is to give me a call an hour ahead of the show. That way, you have a better chance of getting in, because there's a lot of people calling in. So, back to you guys.
Excellent. And of course, it is time to start off with our tech topic of the day.
Tech topic of the day.
Would you like to begin?
I would love to begin. Video game violence has been a hot media topic for quite some time now. Games like Manhunt, Grand Theft Auto, stuff like that have drawn, of course, a lot of criticism for the realistic violence and adult situations that they portray. So in an effort to help parents make informed choices, the video game industry has recently instituted a rating system similar to the one used by the film industry. Video game players are familiar with that. Even more recently, the government has stepped up efforts to regulate video games. So, should the government get involved? Do kids imitate violence they see in games? Does the rating system work? You're a big gamer, Kevin.
I am. Love the games.
You know, all right. So let's just start with, should we be concerned? There's some games out there that are clearly above and beyond ha-ha kind of violence. They're really horrible.
Well, I mean,
this is some serious violence going on, even though it's not real.
Here you have these gaming companies, and they're shooting for, you know, mid-teens, the 20s, and even beyond, because gamers are getting older and older. People like me, I'm in my later 20s, and I later 20s, I'm 27, and I still love to play the video games. You know, I don't care what it is. I love to play them, and I enjoy playing them all growing up from the age of like 10, 12 years old.
Okay.
So they have to appeal to an older audience. And in doing so, they're creating more violence. They're having things like people getting their heads chopped off, and it's getting pretty hardcore of games.
All right, so let me ask you this. What if you were to watch a movie, a rated R movie, because I think most violence can still fall under the rated R, and it's just some serious, horrible violence, carjacking, murders, cutting heads off, knifing, death, destruction. Would you be into watching a movie like that? I think not.
Yeah, well, I'm not into... Well, see, when I was younger, though, I was really into those movies, and I would actually imitate what I saw when I would see a ninja movie. No, I used to love the ninja movies. Dan, am I not right? Ninja movies were the coolest thing. American Ninja was awesome.
Totally. American Ninja was great.
Well, but
and then I
clearly
dress up as ninjas, and I'd throw little stars around. I'd hop over into people's backyards and like steal their fruit and stuff. But it was cool, and it was something that was fun to do. And the same thing happens with games with kids nowadays. I think the parents have to be involved, especially with how hardcore these games are getting.
Well, of course parents have to be involved, but there's a big difference between a Rambo movie and a game like Manhunt where you yourself are controlling this violence. You're not watching somebody else doing it, you are doing it. Now, I think that is it's an important distinction to make. It's a little weird. I think it's a little weird.
I think they're both pretty bad, because when you're watching a movie and you see the violence, it's very gruesome and very realistic. Whereas when you go into a game, it's not so realistic. You actually have little animated characters. And I know the graphics are getting better, but it's still not the same thing as actually, you know, movies can be pretty hardcore.
All right, so after, you know, a long game of Far Cry or whatever it is that you guys do after hours, are you telling me, and I will accept your answer, that you walk away from it unaffected.
No way. No way. I walk away. We play just before we start the show sometimes. We have a little extra time. And even playing Unreal Tournament, which is like total like animation and characters, doesn't look realistic at all. I walk away just like, oh, I just can't quite calm down because I'm just like ready to kill somebody.
So do you think if you were a little bit of a more unstable person, this would be a serious problem? Because that's what I'm trying to get at, is that you're being affected by violent video games.
You're right, and it depends on the person. I think that's what it comes down to. If you were a little unstable in the head, I think that you could get some ideas from, you know, the way that people kill each other. I think it's a bad thing.
I think it's a bad thing too, and so I think reluctantly that I would have to say that the government should be involved.
Well,
I'm not necessarily
I don't think the government should be involved.
Well, then who's going to get involved and make sure that crazy people aren't playing crazy video games and getting crazier because of it?
Well, I don't think, I mean, you can't go inside someone's house. I mean, even if the government is involved, they're just going to put an age restriction on it, in which case you show your ID, you get the game, and then you take it home and get all crazy anyway. What are they going to do, come to your house and sit down and watch you play the game? I mean, that's not going to happen.
There has to be some regulation.
How can you regulate something like that? You can't.
I don't know. I hate video games.
You do hate video games.
I don't hate video games.
You like Tetris. You're a big Tetris fan, and that is violence.
Well, it's a smart person's game. It is not violence.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm talking blocks. I'm troubled. I'm troubled by certain video games. You know, Battlefield Vietnam, great example. It's something I just don't see the it being entertaining and fun for people to play. There's something that it strikes a chord with me. It's just,
well, it's a strategy game. You have to learn how to work as a team.
It's emulating a war that actually happened in not our lifetimes, but.
Well, I mean, that's been going on forever, though. I mean, you have Desert Storm games, you have games about Afghanistan now. I mean, that's nothing new. They've been emulating old war games since, like, you know, the little sink the ship type games.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Kevin says government should not be involved. I say somebody's got to get involved.
I don't necessarily think they shouldn't be involved, but I don't think there's any way that they can regulate other than putting like labels on there and age restrictions,
which they're already doing.
It isn't going to do them anything anyway.
I guess.
Parents need to be involved, definitely, though. Mom and Dad, if you're watching, it's very important to go out there and be involved in your kids' lives because these games are getting pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I would recommend Boy Scouts.
Yes.
Boy Scouts,
is great.
Go camping.
Eagle Scout. It's true.
All right, we're going to move on now. I don't think anyone's ever going to get to the bottom of this just in the show. Ryan joins us on the phone from Boston, Massachusetts. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Kevin. Sarah, how are you?
Good. You a big gamer?
Here and there.
You know?
And
what do you think of the violent video games, Ryan? They trouble you?
not really. I enjoy them.
Yeah, exactly.
Typical male. What's your question, Ryan?
I wanted to know why Apple ridiculously overprices their LCD monitors.
Oh.
I want to know that, too.
It's just not the LCDs. Have you looked at the G5s and the other computers that they have out there?
The whole Apple product line?
But I wouldn't pay $3,200 for a monitor, and that's more than the top-of-the-line G5.
Right. Well, just to let you know, that monitor is a huge monitor. Here's the website.
Yeah, the Cinema Display.
The Cinema Display, what is the latest one? I think it's a 30-inch. Is that the biggest that they have?
Yeah, it's a 30-inch.
And what is it they say the pricing on that is? Can you if you go back to, click on that there.
Yeah, the order number here.
It's 30.
Yeah, it's $32.99, which is, cool monitor and all, but come on.
That is a little...
buy a $600 graphic card to go with it.
Right. Now, have you seen other 30-inch LCDs that aren't Apple, and have you compared prices?
Not really, no.
Well, I mean, this is brand new. Obviously, there's not other 30-inch.
Well, I think hey, Robert, do you know, Robert Heron from the labs here, is there any other 30-inch LCDs that we know of right now for desktop PCs?
Not really. The 23, 24 inches are coming out right now. The thing about that 30-inch, look at the resolution on that display. It's like 2,500 by 1,900 or something. It is exceptionally high resolution.
Was it like 5 million pixels?
Well, that's the thing about Apple, is that they know that they're the only ones who have this cool 30-inch monitor, so they can get away with it.
Right.
They don't have any competition yet. They're bleeding edge, and that's fine and good, but...
And just to let you know,
it's just what you got to pay for.
Ryan, also you're paying a lot for the cool, the cool factor of the device. If
Absolutely.
you take a look at it, they bundle all the cables nicely in the back, and they have this slick. I mean, it's Apple. They always do things right when it comes to industrial design and computer design.
Good products.
Good
expensive products.
Expensive products.
I mean, yeah.
It's the top of the line. It's like the Ferrari, the Porsche of the computer world. I mean, that's what you're going to pay for that kind of stuff. So.
And I don't really see it changing
matches.
anytime soon.
What's that,
Ryan?
And everything matches, too, in color.
Exactly. I love the matching G5. I can't afford it. I'm just like you. I would love to own one. I can't afford it. I am considering, however, buying the 20-inch because $12.99 is a lot of money, but I do want a nice display. We're going to wait and get them in the labs. Hopefully, Robert will get a chance to play with them, benchmark them, see if they're good for gaming, and then I might just actually pick one up.
Since when do you care about matching computer parts?
I don't care about that. I care about cool-looking displays and cool-looking computers in general.
You said you like the matching.
I do like it.
You heard it here.
Just a little bit. Thanks for the call, Ryan.
Thanks for the call, Ryan.
still ahead, see a program that analyzes your brainwaves and trains you to concentrate. That's coming up later. But after the break, your DVDs are gonna be changing. Get a closer look at the video codec, the future. It's all coming up when the Screensavers continues.
Do you know what a codec is? Well, every piece of video you see on your computer or your television is based on one. For example, every DVD you buy or rent is based on MPEG 2, and Robert Heron is here to explain MPEG 4 and what the future of codecs and how they're evolving and what's going on.
Certainly.
Welcome to the show, Robert.
Thank you.
So tell me about codecs. What are they exactly, and what are the differences between them?
Well, a codec is either a hardware or software piece of technology that compresses or decompresses data. And when we're talking digital video, raw video is so large when you're talking still frames in succession, 30, 24 frames per second. It adds up to a lot of data. You need some way to compress that, and that's where codecs come in. And now you have standards like MPEG, which is the Motion Picture Experts Group, who basically defines a way of representing that data for the different compression types.
So when we see a DVD, we're seeing actually a compressed MPEG 2.
Yes, you're seeing the original video that was compressed to fit in MPEG 2, so it would fit on something like a DVD, which is, you need that kind of compression order to even fit it on that. Otherwise, we'd be having 6 disc DVD sets for one movie for uncompressed data.
Okay, so if they shot it on film and they just released it completely uncompressed, it would take up volumes of DVDs,
More
right?
storage than, and because video has lots of consistent, when you look at any particular video, not every frame of every scene changes on every little part, so there's a lot of ways they can optimize the video, so it takes up less space, and that's exactly what codecs are for.
So explain to me now, I've heard of MPEG 2, obviously. Now, MPEG 4 is out now. Why aren't DVDs and things like that moving to the MPEG 4? It sounds like 4 would be better than 2. Is that the case?
It starts up with standards, and I have a quick little graphic here just to show the difference between standards. Not everyone knows what a VCD is compared to an SVCD, and this is just a quick picture quality. That right there is pretty representative of the size of the video that you'd see if it were MAP 1-to-1.
So what is that right there that we're looking at? That's a VCD, so a video CD.
Or roughly about VHS quality. And then when we move up to SVCD, which is MPEG 2, it's a little bit bigger, a little more resolution.
Now those are both codecs that you can burn to a CDR,
yeah,
right? A standard
really,
CDR. And
they're really optimized for burning data to CDR type
and then
deal.
The last one
is when we get up to DVD resolution, and we're talking 720 by 480 for here in the U.S. And then you have not only larger resolution, but that's why we needed DVD discs that hold about 6-7 times more data, because we're dealing with larger images, we're dealing with more information.
Better picture quality, better than VHS.
Oh, by far. Also better color quality as well. That's one thing that the MPEG 2 codec and standard have brought into. That's what made the top players like DVD players so popular, is the fact that the additional quality they're able to pile on because of that.
Right.
And moving forward to MPEG 4 now, what we're looking at are essentially a new set of tools for dealing with digital video. And a couple of the really nice things that they offer is that MPEG 4 treats the whole video stream as basically everything on the screen is an object. So you can do, in addition to just video and sound, you can now do things like graphics and little objects on the screen that can be manipulated, say if you want to make interactive content or things like that. That's where MPEG 4 really adds a whole new flavor of tools.
So now as a consumer, I've been creating a lot of videos for my little video projects, and I compress them in DivX, which is a variation of the MPEG 4. Is that confusing people on that? I mean, how are these what is DivX exactly, and how does it compare to the other codecs?
With every codec we talk about, when you make your video or you're going to watch it, it requires something on each end, either something to encode it and something to decode it. When it comes to DivX, what they've done, and you see like this happens to be an example of a set-top DVD player that's a DivX DVD player, as well as MPEG 4. DivX in particular is actually MPEG 4 video with MP3 audio, which is a subset of MPEG 1, not to get too out there. But then they wrap the whole thing in an AVI file, which AVI can be pretty much anything.
Right.
And it's just a wrapper file, literally. So you're dealing with a mix of technologies. It's not pure MPEG 4 as pure MPEG 4 should be, where you have MPEG 4 video and audio. Like Apple iTunes, AAC audio, that's MPEG 4 audio.
Right.
And that's what you really want to do. If you're going to use MPEG 4, you might as well have the video and the audio.
Yeah, you would think. Why not? I mean, why go to something that's like a proprietary? Why not just go with the full spec? Is that what people are doing now? Are there tools available that people can download for MPEG 4 if they wanted to create their own MPEG 4 content?
Certainly. Pure MPEG 4 content, probably QuickTime is the one most people are familiar with. Apple really got the ball rolling by announcing the day the standard was ratified and everything's set, they announced their QuickTime 6 would be including support for that. Nero, our folks at Ahead Software who do our favorite burning application, they have a program called Nero Digital, which I'll just bring up here real quick. Nero Digital is a great MPEG 4 encoder for doing your video files and stuff. And the nice thing about MPEG 4 also is its flexibility. Up here we have a a bit rate basically that says for DVD bit rates you're looking at about 5 megabit. That's average for a DVD.
So that's how many bits per second of information that is stored per second of video that you have, correct?
Mm-hmm. And if I move to something like CD size, you can see the bit rate's a lot slower, but the flexibility of the codec allows it to say, you know what, depending on what size you're going to be shooting for, we're going to go ahead and compress more or less and do the audio in the same way, where we can take, maybe 5 channels of audio, do it to 2 channels with very efficient coding, so that it takes very little space.
So let's say, mom and dad or whoever are watching this at home, and they just shot some video with their camcorder. The average consumer, they're going to want to compress it down to store it on their computer. Is this a codec, and is this the tool that they should compress everything down to? Are they going to save hard drive space that way? What are the advantages of moving your video to this?
Size. That's number one. For the time it takes you to actually do the processing, to shrink a huge video file to something smaller, that makes it more portable. So if you want to email it to someone or host it or stream it over the internet or burn it to a CD size media, those are the advantages. The problems you run into, though, are the playback. Whatever you encode with, somebody has to have a player that it works with.
So the device has to be compatible with the codec as well.
Or they have to have the same software to run that with. And that's where you have standards like Microsoft tried to do with Windows Media Video.
I've seen Windows Media Video devices. They're all coming out now. You can even get set-top DVD players that allow you to play Windows media files.
Exactly. They made a quick inroad into the DVD set-top arena for that very reason. The fact that, okay, files I create on my Windows PC, how am I going to play them and share them on set-top devices? And as we're looking down the road for MPEG-4, we're seeing similar things happening in that arena as well, especially now that the next generation DVD video format or standard's been ratified. The next generation set-top players will include support for Microsoft's high-definition version of Windows Media, in addition to another version or an updated version of MPEG-4.
Now, is that, I heard Apple talking about that, is that the H.264 standard?
H.264, also known as MPEG version 10, also known as Advanced Video Coding.
Okay, so this is a big thing.
It is a big
They've been
thing.
doing a huge press about this. Apple said this is going to be our next OS. It's going to be in QuickTime. It's going to be in their editing software as well. Is this something that consumers should wait for? Should we wait to see devices that are H.264?
It's going to be a wait. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll start to see some set-top devices. The biggest advantage H.264 or AVC or whatever you want to call it has over the current MPEG-4 tools that we have, improved video quality. It really comes down to double the video quality. And that, when you're talking HD editing, when we all start shooting with HD digital video cameras and we start moving this large amounts of data onto our PC and we need a way to share that high quality, hopefully the next generation set-top players will be able to use a regular burnable DVD disc, do high-definition MPEG-4 on there in a compliant disc that you can play on any set-top player.
Excellent.
That supports it, of course.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So quick recommendation, software, if people want to do this at home, compress with MPEG-4.
Yeah.
Your favorite is Nero?
My favorite's Nero for this, but a lot of people also use QuickTime's the same thing. It does a MPEG-4 compliant video standard, so it will do the exact same thing in terms of it's just which tool are you more familiar with, which tool who you're going to give this file to will have a player for it, and it'll be the easiest for them to use as well.
Very cool. Thanks, Robert.
Sure.
That was Tech TV Labs technical analyst Robert Heron. You can learn more about MPEG-4 and future codecs by visiting the show notes at thescreensavers.com, where we posted links to all kinds of great resources, including the applications we showed today.
Now, still to come, I want to know what's going inside my head. Stay tuned to see a program that analyzes brainwaves. And up next, learn the basics of networking with Joe, our next caller. It's all coming up right after these messages.
Welcome back, everybody. John's going to join us on the phone now from Clarksville, Tennessee. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Doing pretty good.
All right, I have a question.
All
Okay.
I want to connect a Windows 98 machine and a Windows XP machine and, use DSL together and share files.
All right.
I want to know what I need.
You have a router?
No, nothing.
Okay.
So you have a DSL connection right now, I'm assuming, right?
In our new house.
Okay. So you said in your new house, or you
Yeah, we're moving.
Okay. So you're just about buying
You're
a new
kind of starting
house.
from scratch here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you start from scratch, DSL, you get it installed. They give you a nice little RJ45 connector, standard Ethernet connector, and it goes right into the back of your PC.
Yeah, he's got 98 XP. He just wants them to talk to each
Right.
other.
So do you have any networking cards right now, John?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Are they sending you the DSL modem with a kit with some stuff to install?
The charger, they give us a CD and the DSL modem.
Okay. But no extra cards to put inside of the computer at all?
No.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go out and buy yourself a couple networking cards, because that's how these two computers are going to talk to the world. They need the actual cards that you can plug. the Cat5 cable into them so that they can speak to each other. So first step, get yourself some networking cards. We don't have them on the table here today, but you can go find those anywhere at Best Buy or CompUSA or any little local PC shop will be fine.
Not hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you have that, you're going to need I would recommend getting yourself a nice little Linksys router. This here is the Linksys router. And the reason I like these is because they're a little router that on the back of them here, you actually plug your DSL connection to. And once you do that, all these other ports are available to computers that you want to plug into to share the internet connection. It's really easy to do this way. Windows XP comes with an internet connection sharing wizard.
That's what I have. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, it's really easy to do, and you just plug the machines in there. Once again, you're going to need to go ahead and get some networking cable like this here. Sarah likes the pink. I'm not a big fan of it. She wanted to bring that out, though.
Pink and blue. You know what they say.
Also, just to let you know, if your computers are in different rooms or they're a long ways away from where you're bringing this into, you can always go wireless. Wireless is the big thing nowadays.
I mean, I prefer it. As much as I love pink, I would like to have as few cables as possible.
Yes, I know you hate the cables.
I just don't like it. I don't know why,
So
get a wireless card.
Yeah, get a wireless card, and then you won't need those networking cards I was talking about earlier. But once you do that, you may have to make sure, obviously, that the router is also a wireless router. Get a nice little G router. They're really inexpensive nowadays. You can get one for $60 or so, and you have everything built in there. Once you have that, you're good to go. You plug it in. You go inside the setup for the Linksys. You define that you're actually using a DSL connection. It's normally PPPoE that it uses to connect to the internet.
Right.
And then once you do that and you have it all set up, it's pretty easy. Just turn on file sharing for both of the machines, and then they'll be able to talk to each other, and you can share files between the machines, drag and drop stuff over. Very important. This has like its own little built-in firewall, so that's probably good enough, but you may want to consider extra firewalls if you're really worried about computer security. But that's all you need, and it's not that hard. I would print out a lot of good information. Go on the web, find some information on setting up your own wireless router, because once you go to set this up, you're not going to have access to the internet, and so you want to have that all in front of you. So.
Exactly. I've learned the hard way. Thanks for the call, John.
Thanks.
What's the fastest processor? What kind of RAM fits my motherboard? What the heck is a RAID array? These are all questions that can be answered from our 3 favorite websites. And here they are. The first one is Tom's Hardware. They have great articles that run the gamut of technology. And then there's AnandTech. It's along the same lines. Lots of fantastic articles as far as chipsets go, motherboards, CPUs, everything. Last one is HardOCP. They've got, again, that's along the same lines. I think they specialize mostly in video cards and stuff. But they're all really good information. So check them all out and see what's best for you. Maybe all of them. So don't go anywhere. Sarah's found a program to let you save streaming video feeds. But after the break, go inside my head and check out my brainwaves when the screensavers continue.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Sarah Lane. Coming up in this half hour, learn how to share streaming Windows video files to your computer. Very helpful. And stay tuned for Kevin's suggestions for console mod chips.
Yes, console.
What did I say?
Console. It's console.
We're going to console you with your mod chips. I know you're feeling down. We'll console you.
But now, if you're having trouble concentrating, Dan, then you may be interested in our next interview. Patrick had a chance to talk to Dr. Jonathan Cohen, creator of Peak Achievement Software. He has created a way to train your brain to concentrate longer. It's a new type of software using biofeedback. Let's take a look.
Interesting.
Find yourself having trouble concentrating? Pay attention, folks. Dr. Cowan, president of Neurotech, says his Peak Achievement training software can help you train your brain to concentrate and relax. Well, Dr. Cowan joins us here on the Screensavers. Dr. Cowan, welcome.
Good to meet you.
Now, let me understand, you have a system. It's kind of curious. Your degree is in psychopharmacology, and I'm wondering why you would use it's a biorhythm feedback system.
It's biofeedback, brainwave biofeedback, actually not biorhythm.
Okay.
That really has to do with the hour of the day, and your rhythms as related to those hours. Biofeedback really has to do with the brainwaves that we're measuring, and we're using those brainwaves to tell you when you're focused, when you're alert, and relating that to actual video of what you're doing, so you can look from moment to moment and understand what you're doing and what's going on inside your head.
It's sort of a cousin to an EKG in the sense that you're using an external tool to monitor what's going on with brainwave activity.
Right. We actually pick up the brainwaves through these little saltwater foam sponge sensors, and the information comes into a wire, and as you'll see, it's plugged into the Peak Achievement Trainer.
Your background is kind of curious. Your PhD is in psychopharmacology, but you're not writing prescriptions. You're not telling people to take drugs. What's going on with that?
Well, first off is that as a psychopharmacologist, I was only really qualified to study drugs. not a pharmacist.
Pardon me.
Okay.
Well, we spoke for a second there. There's sensors. They get fed into a breakout box. It feeds into the computer. What are we actually witnessing? We don't have a. Actually, let's get Dan out here. Let's get Dan wired up. What are we actually looking at the BioExplorer software here?
Well, the screen is entirely color-coded, so that we've got yellow for concentration and orange for alertness. And basically, we're also looking at video at the same time. And we're setting certain levels that we want him to achieve.
Once he plugged in, the yellow and the orange started dropping. What's actually going on? We take a look at this graph up here in the upper right-hand corner. What's actually changing up there? What is that monitoring?
Well, that monitors actually a brainwave output from the top center part of his head, the frontal lobe area that is involved in planning and involved in conscious awareness of what you're doing. So we were able to find that there is a relationship between what the brainwave tells us and his degree of single-pointed focus. And Dan can probably demonstrate that to us. Dan, what I'd like you to do is just to focus in over here where the yellow is starting, and notice that when he gets zeroed in on it, it moves up and it stays there. Probably stays there until we really try to distract him.
So is that actually showing the degree of focus he's achieving?
Yes.
So we do something like that. It's gone.
Right. There goes the set and pat.
Or we roll the set across. Now it's interesting. It starts to go back and forth.
Right.
So what happens if we ask Dan to concentrate on a specific item? Actually, think about your favorite girl in New Jersey. Stare at the camera there on the monitor.
Oh. Now we're getting something. What we should be seeing is, notice this orange that's coming up here. That has to do with alertness, or really in scientific terms, something we call arousal.
So basically it's a little more alert. Well, I'll take something I think of as taking extreme concentration. Let's say I'm somebody who is in a shooting exercise, or maybe something like the biathlon where you're on skis and you stop and you have to do some very accurate shooting. What would I concentrate? I mean, you can't wear this while you're swimming. What would I use this as a training regimen?
Okay, well, one of the things that we can do is we can video you doing your particular sport, and we can put that in the box here and play it back. And essentially, then you would visualize yourself, replaying it, what you were actually thinking at the time. And we can accurately recreate your concentration level and your alertness level from that.
So, or the other thing we can do is maybe we can put this on Dan while he's answering calls in the corner and find out how. No, it'll explode.
Well, I think more interesting than that is putting it on Dan while he's playing video games and see what happens with that.
Now, on the Peak Achievement website, it says pretty much anyone can administer this system once the basics are set up. What kind of investment does it take to if you want to use this for a sports team or to bring this into an office?
It's about $3,000.
Okay, so not a minor investment.
Not a minor investment, and then you have to have the PC and the webcam, but it is a complete kit, so you have everything there that you need.
Doctor, we appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, get all the information at peakachievement.com. We got more screensavers coming up.
I want one of those so bad.
Well, so it's not really what you're thinking. It's more of how is your level of concentration at any given time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was
low, high. Dan, I don't really feel like yours moved a whole lot.
Yeah, my level of concentration was a bit askew for reasons that the night before I had a late night.
Soy milk, Dan?
Soy milk, late night. I don't know, whatever. It was a tough night. So actually concentrating was actually really hard. And the thing that he was playing was really, it was a stupid DVD. It wasn't anything I knew. So I think it really depends on what you're watching or what you're listening to, or it has to be something that's interesting to you for it to really work out. You know what I mean?
I could have done without the whole Dan arousal thing. Patrick was talking, it was going
very
up like
unnecessary.
crazy.
Very unnecessary. I agree. That is really interesting, though. I've always sort of wanted to tap into my own brain. You concentrate on the yellow and see if it goes up.
It looks like fun.
See if it works. It looks like fun. All right. Stay where you are. Find out what mod chip for your console system is the best bet. But up next, I've got a free video stream ripper. I'm going to show you the goods when the screensavers continue. So those of you who've been watching Tech TV for a while know that we used to get a lot of complaints because the videos we offered at techtv.com were not savable. You can watch them, lots of fun streams to watch, old segments of ours or little web-only stuff that we did, but you couldn't save them. So I can thank some Tech TV viewers for today's download of the day. It's called SDP. It's a completely free stream saver for MMS files. Now MMS stands for Microsoft Media Server, which is Microsoft's proprietary network. And it also will work with HTTP version 1.0 streaming protocol, HTTP progressive, MMS, MMSD, and MMSU. pretty much for our purposes, anything that's Windows Media. Windows Media stuff is what you can capture. So let me open up the program once you've downloaded it. It looks like this, and it looks kind of fun. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. I can choose to download a single or batch files. I have setup options. I have some fun like VCR. If I knew what time something started and ended, I can set that up so I don't actually have to be here capturing something exactly when it's on. If it was something that I'm used to online, like a radio show or something that happens regularly. For any kind of clip, I've got all sorts of media information going on. Clip, time and length, extended data, codecs involved, network, stream properties, all sorts of good stuff. So it's very, very, there's a lot going on here. If I open up the monitor, it has its own little player, so I can show, it has a SD media player, so I can show what's going on. I also have the option to preview any file that I'm downloading while it's downloading, either before it's finished or after it's finished, all that good stuff. So let me just, without further ado, I will show you how to capture something. So I'm on here at windowsmedia.com, and I'm just thinking, I want to watch this movie clip from Spider-Man 2. So what I'm doing is, you actually want to find streaming file that actually has a certain address. I need to show that URL and enter it into SDP. So I'm going to right-click and say Copy Shortcut, because it's giving me an actual shortcut. Then I want to say Open, and I'm just going to paste the shortcut here, and I'm going to say OK. Now it'll say, do you want to save the location file? You can choose to. I'm just not going to, because it's not really going to help me for these purposes. It says, OK, your URL list now has data. Please select an entry. Now down here at the bottom is my URL list. So I'm just making sure that down here at the bottom is indeed the file that I copied, which it is. And I say, OK, yeah, that's the one. And now I'm going to go back up to the top and press Go. It'll say, OK, this is where I'm going to save the file. You want to save it to your desktop, and is this what you want to call it? I'll say, absolutely. And now it goes to town. At this point, here in this status bar, I see that I've got 1%, 2%, 3%, so it's going. It is happy. It's in business. Over here on the right of my network performance monitor, it's kind of fun. It's just showing me how things are getting downloaded and what the transfer rate is. I can choose the grid off if you want. I'm not super concerned with the visual qualities of this, but some people like this kind of stuff. I can choose bars rather than lines. Just matter of personal preference. Now, of course, in the info area, I can show the properties of this particular clip. So if you really want to, if you're very interested in the details of what's going on here, you've got all of that information. Now, at this point, I'm about 73%. I'd like to preview this file. Okay, this looks exactly like the file, the Watchtower clip from Spider-Man 2 that I wanted. And now I'm previewing it because I'm previewing it, but I'm also downloading at the same time. In fact, now I see in the background that I have download completed. Now let's just go to my desktop and say, all right, well, where is that one? Here is the Clock Tower Spider-Man clip. Is this exactly what I wanted? Yes, it is. And you can see, obviously, it's saved. It's not streaming. It doesn't have to rebuffer or anything like that. So this is good times. Anything that you can get, Windows Media files or others, not Real Player. Now, the people at SDP do not currently support Real Player protocol, but they say that it's coming in the next version. So if you want this program, very helpful, get it for yourself at thescreensavers.com or in my Download of the Day articles archives at fairlay.com. Now, as I said, SDP version 2.0 does not currently support RFTP streaming, which is the format that Real Player uses. But the creators claim it will be in their next release. So all you Real Player people don't have long to wait. Done and done.
Do you have a question that you'd like asked on air? If you do, you're in luck because our web team has generated a brand new Gboard Tech TV web forum to answer all of your pressing questions. All you do is go to thescreensavers.com, look at the show navigation section over here on the left, and click Ask a Question. Now when that populates, you get all these lovely little fields to set in, put your name, email address, and all of that. Now remember, if you have Netcam, you get a free TSS shirt. Not so bad. So anyways, coming up after the break, our next caller, Joe, wants to mod some consoles. Which one should you go with? Stay tuned for the answer.
Joe Jones is on the phone from Owasso, Michigan. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are things in Owasso?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Where is Owasso in Michigan anyway? I know there's the Hand. People
okay,
point to
well,
right.
I'm between Flint and Lansing, like almost smack dab in the middle between those two towns.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thanks for clarifying that, Joe.
Sorry about that.
Makes it easier for us to answer your question.
Well, my question is I'm leaning more towards buying an Xbox, and in the next couple weeks or so, and I want to mod it. I want to get a nice mod chip, but there's tons of them out there. I don't know which one to go with. I want something that's going to be awesome.
Okay. So you're leaning towards, are you thinking about possibly a PS2 as well?
Yeah, PS2, yeah, but I don't, I like the graphics on the Xbox is much better.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's a lot of things that you can do with the Xbox that you can't do with the PS2. Yeah, do you have the Xbox underneath there?
Yeah, I do. Can show
there we go. This is our house Xbox. It's one that was actually busted trying to mod it.
Take out the CD-ROM here.
Yank that thing out. There we go. Now, just to let you know, modding the Xbox is a lot easier than it used to be. You basically, back in the day, you used to have to solder about, I don't know, there's about 10 leads on here. It's kind of hard to see right there.
There you go.
These are the solder points that you have to use. But now it's gotten a lot easier because they have all these solderless chips, and it's just the chip that sits right on top of the motherboard here. And see this screw hole right here? It just actually screws down, and that's what holds it in place.
Oh, that's a world of difference.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Wow.
So, let me show you a site. Have you been, I take it you've seen some of my Xbox mods that I've done on the show before?
Yeah, I've seen some of them.
Okay. Have you been to that site that I always talk about, xbox-scene.com?
No, I tried to find it and I couldn't find it.
Okay. Well, that is the site to go to when it comes to Xbox mod information. If you want reviews of mod chips, let me pull it up here. This is actually another site that I had pulled up. I will go to it right now, xbox-scene.com.
Make sure you got the dash scene in there, Joe.
Yeah,
that might have been your problem.
People forget the dash, but this is a site that I really like. This is where I went to learn about Xbox modding because they have a huge forums where you can go in there, and they're really nice to newbies, people that are just getting involved.
Yeah, and you were saying they weren't the typical forums where there's a lot of, like, we don't want to answer you because we're being elitist type of thing.
Yeah.
It really was, you got a lot of information.
Yeah,
there.
and I like the fact that they have a lot of the frequently asked questions that are all pinned up, ready for you to, so a lot of the questions have already been answered, and they have this huge database of just information, volumes of information for you to read. I like this site. Also, they have the mod chip that I was really into back when I was doing it, which has changed now, is the Executor. And they have a nice one here, the Executor 2.3B Lite. That's the latest version. Actually, the Lite Plus is the one that is the solderless. And if you take a look here, right here is where all the pins are on the chip. And those are what actually just push down. They actually push down the board. So there's no solder involved. And like I said, you just screw that one little hole in right there, and it's good to go. $52. Now, you have to find the BIOS that you want to flash it. Some of the BIOSes are considered like, they don't know if they're illegal or illegal if they use Microsoft code. Be careful when you're going out there hunting for a BIOS for it because that's what can get you in trouble depending on where you get it from.
Well, the BIOS people would know.
Well, the what people?
They would know, the people who make this.
Well, the people that make it are the people that are in the underground. They're not necessarily, they don't have websites for it and things like that.
They're the shady people.
Exactly.
The dark tippers.
There are the dark tippers of the world. There are legitimate BIOSes out there, though, like the people that run the whole Linux on the Xbox project. Really good site, the-console-corner.com, another good one that I recommend.
It sounds like sort of foolproof. As long as he does his homework and makes sure that he's not doing anything that's going to make anybody mad, then this is definitely the way to go. Easy as pie.
Make sure that when you get the Xbox, you have to find out what version it is because the different chips work with different versions of the motherboard on here. But Xbox Scene is the place to go. Dash Scene.
Thanks for the call, Joe.
Thanks for the call, Joe.
Now here's Leo with an email tip. Leo?
I'm going to talk to you today about another way to do email. We're all familiar with the POP server, the Post Office Protocol server. That's what most ISPs use. If you have an internet service provider that's giving you email, that's probably what you're using. If you launch Outlook Express, Eudora, they go out and they go to the POP mail server, they download the mail and usually delete it off the server. That's kind of the normal way of doing things. But for a lot of people, it's not the best way to do things. If you use more than one computer to read your mail, for instance, one at work, one at home, or maybe a laptop that you take on the road, POP3 is kind of awkward because you have to leave the mail on the server for a little while and make sure the other guys got it, and you often get duplicates, and mail handling is different on each platform. That's why a lot of people still use webmail services like Hotmail or Yahoo Mail. Well, I've got a better way. It's called IMAP. That's it was invented at Stanford in 1986, and it's designed for exactly this. IMAP servers keep the mail on the server. You can have an IMAP client, on any computer you use. The mail will appear the same on all the computers, including folders, filters, spam checkers, anything you do. It's all done at the server side, so you have a consistent view of your email. You might say, well, how is that different from webmail? Well, it looks a lot like webmail, except that you can download the messages to your hard drive. You can do things you can't do in webmail. It's much more like a standard email client. In fact, you can use, unlike webmail, Outlook, Outlook Express, Eudora, all those standard clients. They all support IMAP servers. I'm going to recommend, though, if you get serious about IMAP, a great program called Mulberry. This is for Windows, Mac, and Linux. You could try it free for 30 days. This is the ultimate IMAP client. It allows you to do so much with IMAP. You just got to try it. But if you combine IMAP with Mulberry, for anybody who moves around, it's a really superb solution to your email hassles. Back to you guys.
I love that. Speaking of emails, stay where you are, because next up, we're going to check our inbox to see what's on your mind. We might read your email when the Screensavers continue.
It is that time again. We've gone through some emails. Dan's got some too. Dan, do we have anything good in the inbox?
I sure do. Here we go. This is from Rick. He wants to know of a site that he can get a free copy of Linux safely, and do you know how to change the monitor refresh rate in Linux?
Interesting. Well, Linux, the easiest way I like to download is in ISO files. It's like the huge files that you burn out to CD. And linuxiso.org is a great resource.
We have a shot of it.
Yeah, we have a shot of it at home base. It's a great resource for all things Linux related. They have all the distros there in little boxes. You pick the distro that you want. You click on it, it downloads, and then all you have to do is fire up like a copy of Nero.
Yeah, because he's saying he wants a copy of Linux safely. I mean, he has quite a few options at that point.
Yeah, he's just worried probably about something being like bundled with it or something. That normally doesn't happen in Linux. That's not really anything you have to be worried about.
Linux ISO would be a good place to be safe, have lots of options.
Yeah, and as far as changing the resolution, that's all stored in, if you're running X Windows, it's in xfree86.conf, I think it is. It's the configuration file. There'll be a configuration editor normally built into some of the modern distros of Linux.
Most people run X Windows?
Yeah, X Windows. Well, the X Windows is like the foundation for KDE or GNOME, which runs on top of that. So
gotcha.
There's a file there they have to modify. It's still a bit of a pain to change resolutions, believe it or not. We take it for granted in Windows. You just right-click, choose properties, you know. Yeah, it's one of those things. Another quick one, Dan?
Yeah, one more quick one. How do I turn off my window pane? I don't want to get a virus.
I won't give you a virus.
Yeah, back in Windows 98, and remember the Windows pane, they would have like, it would actually be HTML, it would be view as web page. Well, it doesn't go out to the web. It's just pulling files locally if it is HTML, so nothing to worry about.
That's like when you look at my computer and you've got your little options on the left-hand side.
Don't worry about it.
Cool.
That is it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Sarah Lane. Thanks so much for joining us. We'd like to thank our guests, John Cohen and Robert Heron. See you next time. Have a good night.
Have a great night.